March is National Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month, and colorectal cancer is one of the most preventable malignancies through routine screening tests that can find the disease early. So Dr. Bassett is joining us from Sanford. Thanks so much for coming.
Well, thank you, Anna, for having us on.
Absolutely. So I know it's a tough topic to talk about, but first, who is the most at risk for colorectal cancer?
Well, I think an important point is that everybody's at risk. And that includes people that maybe have no family history of colon cancer. As a matter of fact, it's estimated that 4 to 5% of us at some time in our life will develop colon cancer.
Oh, gosh, that's a startling statistic. So when should we start looking for signs? When should we start doing regular screenings?
The screening age actually has just decreased. Traditionally, it was 50 that you start doing colon cancer screening. Well, now 45 is the new 50.
Wow, and I'm sure it never hurts to do it early anyway. Like you said, you know, anybody's at risk, so at any stage of your life, and I'm sure this is something you can have a conversation with your doctor about.
That's right, and I think the point about it could be you're in your 30s, but say that you have rectal bleeding or a change in your stool caliber or habits or abdominal pain, then age doesn't matter, because if you're having symptoms like that, go in, see your doctor and get evaluated.
And one of the things that your doctor might recommend is a colonoscopy. So can you explain for people who have never experienced it, what is a colonoscopy, what can it detect?
Sure, so colonoscopy, it's a one-step test where you end up taking a colon prep, which is probably the toughest part of it. And we usually do half the night before, half the morning of the exam. We have you on clear liquids that day before the test. And then you come in. I do my colonoscopies over at Sanford. I've probably done around 15,000 now. But you know, if you're the patient coming in, you're given sedation for the procedure, so the overwhelming majority of folks getting colonoscopy do not experience pain with it. And I have an awful lot of them that I get to the end of the procedure and they say, "Dr. Bassett, when are we going to start?" And I'm like, "No, sir, you're done with the colonoscopy."
And on the same lines of sedation you had mentioned to me earlier, don't make any life decisions after you get it, because sedation obviously is a very serious thing and it's funny to joke about. But colonoscopies are very important, and you had also mentioned to me the first one is the most important.
That's true. The first one has the greatest reduction in risk, but it's not one and done. You still will be given recommendations for when should the follow-on colonoscopies be. But if you don't have any family history of colon cancer and you have a normal colonoscopy, the interval is 10 years.
And obviously, you know, you said anybody can get it. Obviously the age is 45, but of course if you have any symptoms, you should be going to your doctor, right? And explaining to your doctor, these are the symptoms I have, and doing all the necessary tests. And maybe that's the time they'd recommend that colonoscopy?
That's right. It's one that, you know, take rectal bleeding. I think an awful lot of young people say, "Oh, it's just my hemorrhoids." And just about everybody I've diagnosed with colon cancer that had rectal bleeding thought it was just hemorrhoids.
Interesting.
And yet, when you go in and you get evaluated, a certain number of folks find out, in fact, that it was a cancer. And, you know, if we can diagnose these cancers early, that determines what your prognosis is going to be.
And I think probably, I can't speak for everyone, but I feel like for most of us, you know, you go to the doctor, maybe you get a colonoscopy. If nothing comes out of it, great. That is the result we all want. However, if something does come out of it, you find that cancer, aren't you going to be so grateful that you took the chance and did it and detected it early?
Yeah, absolutely. And with colonoscopy, when you go in, the majority of cancers, they come from polyps. And so we don't just detect cancer early, but you actually can prevent a cancer from occurring by removing those polyps. And then if you do find that there's a cancer and it's a very early cancer, you might even be able to completely remove it during the colonoscopy.
That's incredible. Dr. Bassett, thanks so much for joining us again. And of course, if you have questions, talk to your doctor or reach out to Sanford Health. Their website and information is on the screen. maybe, do a checkup just to see how you're doing. Now stay with us. A new advisory board will help shape policing in our community. Chief Cebulski is with us next to talk about that important topic.